Okay, why is my pen not writing? Is it because the pen is dead? Try this one. Oh, that looks better. Okay. So there are two rules for sig fig calculations. You learned one of them doing the POGIL activity, and you learned one of them from Tyler. I would like you to describe those two rules to the people sitting next to you. Alrighty, what are the two broad categories? There's like category A and category B. What is one of the two categories? What math operators go together in terms of the rules? Adding and subtracting. And when we add and subtract, where do we round to? Round to, there's two ways of expressing it. The first or largest uncertain digit. And that works all the time, even if you don't have any decimal places, okay? Or another way of expressing it is you can round to the least number of decimal places. Most of the time when students have difficulty with this, they forget that there's two rules. Because what's going to happen later on is we're going to use multiplying and dividing way more than adding and subtracting. And so people tend to forget the adding and subtracting rule. Okay? So you can express that rule either way. They both are fine. So if we had, for example, 2400 plus 0.01, what would we get? Our calculator would spit out the number 2400.01. Is that what we want as our answer? No. What is your uncertain digit in the 2400? The 4. Yes, because there's no decimal place. And so this is why you need to remember your rules from Unit 1. There's no decimal place, so the 4 is your uncertain digit. And here it is the 1. So if you say, okay, I have to round to the largest uncertain digit, that's going to be this one right here. Yes? So then I need to round and I say, okay, 24, and I look to the right and I say that's less than 5, so I'm done, right? Are we happy with my answer? No, you shouldn't be happy with my answer. What's wrong with it? No, it does not have to be in scientific notation. I could, but I don't have to. I just took the number 2400.01 and I turned it into 24. That's like way smaller, yes? So that's not the same number, so you just have to put in those placeholder zeros, okay? So don't forget your placeholder zeros. Don't just cut the number off. Make sure that you put those placeholder zeros in. Or you could, if you wanted to, put it in scientific notation, which would be 2.4 times 10 to the 3. Let's see, what if you had, not that one, there we go. $143.0 plus 190 grams. If I punch this into my calculator, I get 333.0 grams. I would like you to tell your partner where we should be rounding to. Should we be rounding to the ones, to the tens, to the hundreds, to the point ones? I'm just underlining the uncertain digits. Remember, because there's no decimal in 190, that 0 is not significant, that trailing 0, no decimal, so not significant. So if I look at this, I've got 10ths position is uncertain. But what else is uncertain? The tens position is uncertain, coming from that 9 right there. So I now need to round this, and when I round it, I'm actually going to put an arrow instead of an equal sign. That's not what I did before. I should have, this should be an arrow. There we go. So I want to go to my as I'm reading from left to right, I want to round it to my first uncertain digit, and so that's going to be that 3 there. So I look to the right of the 3 and I say that is also a 3, that is smaller than 5, so it should be 33. What have I forgotten? I've forgotten my placeholder 0, okay? So 330 grams, okay? Or if you prefer, you could write it as 3.3 grams because we have 2 sig figs here and we have 2 sig figs here, okay? What if we have 35.43 plus 9.821. We plug that into our calculator and we get 45.251. Tell your partner where we should round that to. When you're adding or subtracting, you cannot do it with sig figs. When you're adding and subtracting, it does not work if you do it with sig figs. You will get the wrong answer. No. Yes. I don't know what magic he's doing, what voodoo is happening over there, but I don't believe it. You shouldn't necessarily end up with the same sig figs at the end because you can end up with something that's larger or something that's smaller because of, like, you know, carrying the 1 and stuff like that. Yeah. All right, so what do we have here? We have a hundredths and we have a thousandths. So where are we going to round our number? Hundredths right there. So we only have 1 uncertain digit. And oh, I haven't done anywhere I have to round up yet, have I? So that's going to become 45.25. Ooh, here's a fun one. 347.1 minus 346.37. Yeah, we've got a tenths and we've got a hundredths. So when I plug that into my calculator, do you see how close those two numbers are to one another? The difference between them is going to be very small, yes? So we actually end up, our calculator will give us 0.73, yes? And if we look and we say, I need to go to my tenths position, that's going to round to 0.7. So we started with a number. How many sig figs were in this number? 4 sig figs. How many sig figs were in this number? 5 sig figs. How many sig figs are in our final answer? 1 sig fig, because remember, zeros on the left are not significant. So don't get the adding and subtracting mixed up with the multiplying and dividing rule, because multiplying and dividing, if instead of subtracting these, if we were multiplying them instead, our answer would have 4 sig figs. Yes, but when we're adding and subtracting, it's always about those decimal places. It's always about where your first uncertain digit is. Okay? Would we like more examples of adding and subtracting? Anyone? Yeah? Sure? Okay, you're just relaxing, chilling this afternoon. That's okay. Okay, we'll do a couple more. Let's see what we get here. We have 3.4447 minus 2.77. Calculator gives 0.6747. Tell your partner what you think the rounded answer should be. So we've got a 2 decimal place position that's uncertain and a 4 decimal place position that is uncertain, yes? So our first uncertain digit is in the hundredths position. So we are going to round here. Does this round to a 5 and then that round to an 8? No, you wish, but it does not. That would be double rounding. Always look to only the single digit to the right. Okay, so you're only looking 1 digit to the right. Just ignore anything after that. So this is going to become 0.67. How many sig figs in that? 2 sig figs. Right? We started with 4 or 5 sig figs and 3 sig figs. But remember, in adding and subtracting, it has nothing to do with the number of sig figs. It's all about the decimal places or about your first uncertain digit. One more. 55,000 minus 76.2. Tell your partner what your rounded answer should be. And don't be shy about underlining those uncertain digits. Like if that's helpful for you to get to the answer, then do it. Okay, those zeros in the 55,000 are not significant because there is no decimal. Yeah, I do not. No, they're still there. But they're not, I didn't even sign out those ones. I signed out B, but I ended up not needing them. So I have nothing. So help yourself to whatever is available. Yeah. Okay, so if those are uncertain digits, which digits in 5, 4, 9, 2, 3, 8 are uncertain? The thousands, that 4 there, and the 0.8. So where is our first one? Thousands. Yes? Look to the right. Oh, finally, one that's bigger than 5. So we have to round up to 55. Oh, 1,000. Oh my gosh, it's the same answer. But if you can imagine, 55,000, this could be as high as 56,000 or as low as 54,000. That's what it means if we have that uncertain digit in the thousands position. So if we could be out by 1,000, is 76 meaningful? No, it's too small compared with that big uncertainty we have for everything else. Okay. Does anybody need any examples of the multiplying and dividing? Would we like some? Yes? Okay. Hi. What's that? Because you're rounding to the first uncertain digit. It should be more of a question as to why does the number of sig figs in multiplication and division matter? Yeah? Like I can't have any more certainty than this digit because that's already uncertain. I can't go any further than that. Yeah? Yeah. And things like this will happen. Like let's say we had 9.0 plus 8.67. Yes? Then that would be what? 17.6. Actually, that's not a good example here. Let's do it with there. Okay, just like that. Yes? Okay, so now I have 2 sig figs, and I have 2 sig figs. And because we work in a base 10, when I add 9 plus 8, I have to carry the 1, essentially. Yes, so I get an extra digit that wasn't there before. but this is still the digit that's uncertain. It's uncertain here, and it's uncertain here. I can't say, oh, I need 2 sig figs. All of a sudden, I can't say that my 1s are uncertain because they're not. I know 8 and 9 for sure. Does that make sense? So it just has to do with the fact when you're adding and subtracting, like you can go up by a power of 10 or down by a power of 10, just depending on whether you go past that, 10 on your hand. Yeah? Yeah. All right, now, this rule actually, I think it makes more sense than the multiplying and dividing rule, but the multiplying and dividing rule is really easy. What is the multiplying and dividing rule? Yeah. Least number of sig figs. And if you're wondering why it disappears all the time, it's because, do you know where they put the erase button? They put it right where you hold the damn pen. I'm like, are you kidding me? That's why on my other one that's not working right now, I actually have it like built up so I can't touch it. Yeah. That's why it's got this fancy like tape system on it. It's so I can hold it without touching the erase button. Anyway. Yeah, so a couple examples here. Let's see. Hang on one second. Okay, here we have 12.5 times 0.50. We do that. I don't have this one in front of me, so I actually have to calculate it. Oh, I could do that in my head. Surely I could do in my head. It's half of 12 and a half, so that's going to be 6.25. How many sig figs here? 3 sig figs. How many sig figs in 0.50? Tell your partner, how many sig figs in 0.50? 2 sig figs, because remember, leading zeros are not significant, but we have a decimal, so this one is significant. So 2 sig figs. How many sig figs should we have in our answer? So we say, which is bigger, 2 or 3? And we say we need to have 2 sig figs. We look to the right. That's a 5, so we need to round up. It becomes 6.3. Oh, 0.15 times 0.001. So we can do this in our head, yes? 0.00015? Did I do that right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Yeah? Now, that's what my calculator gives me. When you're multiplying and dividing, you have to say, how many sig figs do I have here? How many? 2. How many sig figs in 0.001? 1 sig fig. And so that means over here we have to choose the smallest one, so it's going to be 1 sig fig. So again, we look to the right and we say, what is that number? And we get 0.0002. Okay. Ooh, here's a fun one. 40 divided by 30. I think that's what, 1.3333333333333. Yes, 1 1/3. And obviously we cannot go on and on forever. We are dividing, so we have to use the sig fig rule, least number of sig figs. How many sig figs in 40.0? 3 sig figs. How many sig figs in 30 blah, blah, blah? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yes? So you say I have 3 sig figs as the smallest number, so this needs to round to 3 sig figs. And so that's going to be 1.33. Okay, 3 sig figs. That's what your calculator gives, 20,000. So we have, over here we have what? 3 sig figs, yes? Here we have 5. So how many do we want in our answer? 3. So do I go like this? And then add the 2 zeros. Oh, hang on. That's still not right because that does not have 3. So that's exactly what I had before, and it still just has 1 sig fig. How can I fix this? There are 2 ways. You can use scientific notation. So move your decimal place 1, 2, 3, 4 positions, 2.00, and we wanted 3 sig figs, so we're only going to put 2 zeros there, times 10 to the, we moved it 4 places, so that's 4. If you prefer, you can put the over bar here. Yes? Either way will work nicely. So, you guys should be able to do and have a quiz on Friday. Quiz on Friday. But you should be able to do page 17, 21, and 22, 23. And you know what? Maybe just start with like the odds, yes? So don't necessarily do all of them, do all the odds. You're doing pages 17 and 21 to 23, you're doing the odd numbers, or if it's like letters, you can do the odd letters. Odd letters would be like, or just do 1 row or whatever. Yeah, do the first column. You will need to start bringing your calculator on a